Thanks everyone for watching. Again, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter at Jean Simonet with an underscore. And I'll be here every day, 10 to 4 or so. And hopefully I will have some cool things to show you. We can make this game together. On this note, I tell you all goodbye. Goodbye.
Cool, that looks like that's working.
On this note, I tell you all goodbye. Goodbye.
Cool, that looks like that's working.
On this note,
Alright, you should be able to hear my music. I don't want that too enlarge. I'm putting the patron saint of indies up there in the upper left. I use him a lot to keep me on task. I will be right back. I'm going to ditch some of my water bottles and such and come back in a minute. I'm going to explain what I'm doing as I go, and I hope that you'll be able to follow along. Some of the stuff I have is coming from code that I already have, and I've just kind of put together to be able to kind of start from that. But I'll explain what it does. It's very minimal, like draw a rectangle type stuff. Okay, I'll be right back and start at 4. There we go. Will it have a leaderboard? It will not have a leaderboard. I don't blame you for taking a break, John. I am starting from a little bit of OpenGL and a little bit of sort of bootstrapping code I've got just to get a window open and make it drawable and all that stuff. It is 3:53. I'm going to be kind of in and out here until the time arrives. I've got a son who should be arriving any moment here at the house. So, yeah, we will implement Pong, but I will be right back. I got a drink. I don't think I need anything else. There's one thing I wanted, so I'll get that, and then I'll be right back. Thanks. went and tweeted out that I'm doing this, so we may have a few people join from that. Feel free to shoot out questions in chat, and I will read them. I've got that on a separate screen. Maybe I'll show you my setup a little bit. This is my basement. So sorry if you're getting a little bit of sickness from moving around. I code at a treadmill desk. I will not be walking today, but hopefully you can see this. I can't actually see what I'm showing you. Anyway, that's my setup. I got a PS2 and a PS3 down here and a TV up there. I like to work down here in my basement, which is really where programmers belong, basements. Let me just make sure that OBS thinks I still look okay. OBS seems to think I look okay. So that's in a good spot. A little bit more centered. There we go. Sorry for the row of lights overhead. I need to have them on to be visible. Let's see, what do we got? We got under a minute now, so I think I will turn off Twitter over there and give it a go. Hear me crackling on my poor old man body joints. There we go. Elbows all set. I did walk for a couple, I don't know, 3 hours today while coding. I had some other design work to do. I was kind of encouraged to do this by seeing friends working on their actual games. And now I think I'll get started and kind of talk about what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a copy of my normal project template here. It's just a little main file that does some setup work for me. And we'll go in and clear it out. So we're building from scratch. Let's see, we got a lot of garbage in here we don't need. We don't want to delete them all. I'm going to keep STL. Good. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so that's all we got. Okay, I'm an Emacs user. I'm a believer. Except I'm not in my new Pong directory. Okay, good. For some reason, Emacs always goes to my other screen. Probably goes to monitor 1. Anyway, I thought I'd start this stream at least telling you a little bit about what I'm planning to do. Once a week, sort of as a Wednesday workout, I'm going to code up an old game from scratch, or more or less from scratch, using a little bit of framework that I have, which really just provides me some simple rendering functions and sets up all sort of these type defs that I use and things like that. And sets up my sort of DLL hot loading environment. A lot of this stuff is covered pretty well by Handmade Hero, which is another inspiration for the cast. But those kind of longer streams are focused more on showing you progress on a bigger thing over a longer period of time. And I think there's some value in just trying to replicate something that already exists and getting it running really, really fast. And kind of showing you the thought process of how you would actually go about designing or rather implementing one of these older games. So you can kind of see it all at once. I'm going to try to do these things basically in an hour. So let's get started. I'm going to show you first some of the stuff I have, just so you know. I have a few files already. I have a Win32 main file, and I have a OSX main file. And these just do a few things for me. I'm using SDL, the direct media layer that you can download off the net. I'm using SDL2 in case you're curious. It's really good for cross-platform development. A lot of the stuff that's in here is kind of similar to what's being done in Handmade Hero. I'm not going to go into it into a lot of depth, but I basically have a main function. I'm going to create a window, 1280 by 720. I have some code that initializes that window for OpenGL rendering. And then I allocate some memory, a bit of memory that's going to be my persistent memory, and a bit of memory that is like Scratch, play around with memory. We probably won't need the Scratch memory today. Do some stuff for frame rate and timing. I'm going to set up some inputs, which I'll show you in a minute. And then in here, I'm going to, in my main loop, just, hey, look and see if the code has changed that is actually doing the game logic, and reload it if it has. Clear the window, swap the input, update the input, get the time, and then call my update and render function, which is actually exported by the DLL. It will actually call that, and that thing can stuff in a value to say quit if you get the escape key. And then I just do some timing stuff, sleep, and swap the window. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. That actually builds right now. Let's build it. No. Let's build it quickly. So, I mean, it doesn't do anything at this point, but let's go ahead and look. It's in the run directory, and right now this is what the game looks like. Just a black window. I've taken off the borders and things like that, just because I don't like to use them when I render. You guys can't see this, but my screen is super dusty. I should clean that. And it handles the escape key. Okay. The first thing we're going to do, since we're writing Pong, we're going to do a two-player version of Pong. Let's get the input going. We want to have, let's say, the W and S keys and the right and left arrow keys, the up and down arrow keys, control the paddles in Pong. If you know Pong, and you should know Pong, I would think, you've basically got two paddles moving up and down, and the ball going back and forth in between and bouncing off of various surfaces. We will start with that initially. I'm not going to do joysticks at this point because I don't think it really helps a lot, but I'm just going to go ahead and add these various keys that I want. Let's say I want up arrow, I want, let's see, STL scan code, down arrow, that would be for player 2, the player on the right of the screen, and I'm going to want, let's see, STL scan code, I think it's just W, SDL scan code, S, and go ahead and put in some breaks. Whenever you do a case, you should do the breaks. Most of this code is going to actually look pretty similar. It's just going to look like this one line. I'm going to go ahead and put those in, and I'm going to create some constants to describe those. I'm not a comment heavy guy. All this stuff is going to kind of look what it looks like. Okay. These structures are pretty simple. Let's go ahead and open that up in another window. Maybe it's in here. Yeah, so I basically just have the mouse buttons, which are, hey, are these things, is it down and was it down last frame? I have my keys that I'm sending that I'm interested in. Let's say left player up, L player down, that'll be the left player, and then right player up, and right player down. Normally I probably wouldn't worry about doing both players at once, but I'm going to kind of get the game started and then running the whole time we code it up. Let's see, so this is L player up, this is L player down, and this is R player. And this is pretty simple code. Not very interesting code, but it's kind of the minimum stuff you need to do. You know, you're basically looking to do sorry to be so fast there, Banjo. Some of this stuff is a framework that I already had, so it's not like I've written all of this code fresh. I'm actually just adding in some keyboard stuff at the moment. Okay, anyway. So now we should have some code. Okay, it's not up arrow. Let's see if it's up. Or I might have to look this up. It is up. Okay, just up and down. Okay, good. So we got that straightened away. So now I hope for most of the rest of the stream, I'm actually going to just be able to leave the game running and swap back and forth to it. As I told you, we have the game going to load in a DLL and do all its work that way. So let's go ahead and start writing something sort of simple. We already have sort of our main loop, which is, hey, get the input, call, update, and render for your code, and then just kind of swap around. Let's go ahead and open up the game code. There's nothing here right now. I have a couple of utility functions in here that just sort of say, hey, have we pressed or released a key? Sometimes I use that for things like, hey, if the escape key was pressed, go ahead and tell the game it can quit. But let's just go ahead and get started. One of the structures I have, let's see if I have it in my game platform. Right. One of the structures I send to the game each frame is I give it some memory, I give it some input, and then some expected time and things like that. There was something else, right? Part of the memory structure is whether or not I've initialized the memory. So I'm going to just kind of overlay data right into that thing as I need to. So we're going to need some data to keep track of our game. I like to just call that game state. And let's say we're going to need a couple things. Let's use a real point, and I have some points data structures as well. They're just X's and Y's, all 2D stuff. Let's say we'll do the left player position, and we have a real point, which is the right player position. We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, let's just leave that out, and we'll do a real point. Let's say the left player velocity, and we can pretty quickly get this going. If not, let's see. I think I call it game. What do I call it? Game data. Game data. Let's see. Game memory. Yeah, game data. You can see that down here. If the game data, game memory, if it's not initialized, then we will go ahead and initialize it. Game state equals, let's just go ahead and cast that memory directly from that permanent memory storage. Game data, game memory, and permanent storage. Okay. If it's not initialized, we need to go ahead and initialize it, do some work from there. We will go ahead and set the left player position to something interesting. Let's kind of put it halfway down on the left side. I forget what I said it was, 1280, 1200, 900? I don't know. Let's put it at 450. And let's go ahead and put, that's its Y. Let's go ahead and put it 10 and 450. We're gonna just quickly test this to see if we can get something rendering on screen. And we're gonna initialize its. We don't actually need to do this. All this memory will be zeroed out because of the way the allocator works. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and set its position. I can't initialize that struct that way. Let's go ahead and do this. And okay. Like that. That's what I want. And its velocity should be 0. Just because of how we initialize memory. Okay. So we've got some stuff there. Let's, what are we going to do next? We're going to want to actually draw that thing on the screen in our normal loop. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm thinking of this as sort of the center of our Pong thing, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some values in here for paddle size as, let's do the paddle half size. Well, let's say it's 5 wide. I'm not going to make that a floating point. It's going to make it 5 wide, and we're going to make it, I don't know, 50 high, so 25. The half size will make sense in a minute. And then let's write a draw paddle function, give it a point paddle position equals it's a point from real point. I have some code that does that. Let's go ahead and find that so you have it. So you can see what I do here. Common, include, BG types. I have a little bit of code that I am going to use. Yeah, I have an inline point from real point, which just creates a point from by rounding a float. And let's go ahead and create that from game state, left paddle, left player position, and then let's draw a paddle there, and then do that. So what do we got? We got something that doesn't compile because of that, but that's easy enough to fix. Draw a paddle, and let's see. I said it was a point position and a point half size. Okay. Excuse me. Now I am, as I said, I'm going to rely on a few functions just to kind of make this stuff go along a little bit more quickly. I just want to check over and see how we're doing here on Twitch. There is value in coding up these old games. I love doing it. You know, and I can do it kind of quickly. I've been teaching this course at Wabash. Yeah, I've got about 20 people in the stream. Nice to see you all. Say hello if you'd like. Love to see who's watching. Anyway, I taught a course this semester about game design at Wabash College, a small college in the Midwest in Indiana, with my friend Brainy Gamer, Michael Abbott, who is a professor there. And I actually was teaching a student a little bit about programming, and he sort of asked, is there some value in implementing things like Snake or Pong or Asteroids or what have you? And I said, of course there is. If you're learning to program, you don't want to also have to learn how to design usually. So it's kind of better to use to kind of distinguish those things as much as you can, and then once you've kind of gotten a feel for the programming, you can stretch in other directions. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to use some code. Let me show you the other code I'm going to use. I've included drawing up here, and the drawing code is, let's see, not that. Let's go ahead and find that. It's in my common directory. There's really nothing here. This is a very, very simple stuff. Depending on the platform, include stuff from places. It will draw rectangles of different colors based on position and dimensions. Really simple stuff. I'm not really pulling the wool over your eyes here. Sets a color, draws a plain old rectangle. There's nothing really more to it than that. So that's really all we're going to use today to draw, because Pong is pretty primitive as far as this stuff goes. So let's go ahead and draw our first paddle, and then we can see that it's working, and we'll get some input going, and you'll have a sense of the sort of decisions I make as I go. You're going to ask why I'm using real points, floating point values for screen coordinates, and I will talk about that a little bit more when we get to the velocity calculations. Anyway, drawing paddle. So we want to figure out where we want to draw this. I'm going to just say our position is minus our half size. In fact, I have a subtract from point function, which just will subtract half size from position in place. So this would be like writing pos.x minus equals half size dot x and pos.y minus equals half size dot y. That's what code is doing. I'll just leave that here so you can see it. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's see, I'm going to go ahead, and I don't think I have a function for this, so I'll go ahead and do this, and half size y equals that. Because as you'll see, I'm going to use this draw rectangle, which takes a point to start in, and that's relative to the upper left of the screen. And then I'm going to take how big that thing is, what its dimensions are, and a color packed into a U32. So let's go ahead and do that. Draw point, draw rectangle. And it's going to be at that position. It's going to be in what I've now made of half size. And we'll just go ahead and do that as white. Go ahead and build. Look at that. It can't open the running program, but we are working in a DLL, so that is fine by us. You actually probably all saw that change, and I did not. Is that running? Yeah, there it is. I don't see that working. Let me make sure that that is actually yeah, that worked. I wonder why that didn't work before. We will see if that, there may be a problem there. We'll see how that's going. Let me look. I don't want to have to spend all sorts of time looking at that and restarting the game over and over. Let's see, I've got game update and render is my function. I've got game running, game.dll, game.dll. Let's go ahead and put out of that again quickly. Sorry, sometimes I use Unix-based machines. I know it looks fine. That's weird. I don't know why that... let's go ahead and try putting a couple values in here to see what I'm making again. Make sure we see that. Oh, it's not updating my DLL. That is not good. Can't open. Let's look at my build. Of course, there will be a few problems. Let's see. Let's make sure I'm spitting stuff out to the right time. I'm spitting stuff out to there. Linking stuff. Win32. It's going out to Win32 main.exe. Making the run directory. I'm exporting things. And yet, I bet if I quit. Yeah, that's not good. That should be reloading. Well, let's go ahead. You know what? There's no point in arguing about this. Let's just go ahead and look real quick in the debugger and see what I've done wrong. Okay, let us start the executable. Okay, good. Let's just pause somewhere and see where we are. Good. Go to the source. It's a little complicated to look at. And I have to imagine it's this code here that is somehow wrong. I did not try that today. DLL, that should be fine. Huh. All right, let's give that a go. Let's make. Let's go ahead and continue. We'll step into that code, and I'm going to set a breakpoint right after this. No, let's see. So what this thing does is it looks and sees when was this thing last made, and then sees if it has changed, and it puts in a empty rendering function if things are bad, and then it tries to rebind it later. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put breakpoints at these two places, and let's go. Oh, interesting. Oh, this is updating every time. That's probably a bad idea. All right, well, we will fix that in a moment. Yeah, that's probably why my code's a little slow. Okay, let's go ahead and fix that. Common source game. Let's see, what is it called? Game DLL, Win32 DLL. Okay. We really only want to change this stuff if it hasn't. There we go. Is that what we want? Yeah, I think we're good. I think that's okay. I think that's good. All right, let's go back to 132. And we'll stop running this. Sorry, I didn't expect to spend any time on that. That stuff usually just works. Okay, let's try again. 132 main. Good, there's our purple dude. Let's, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that that way. I want to do that here in the debugger. Yes to all. Good. Hey there, Thorslow. The bugs are what I was looking forward to. Well, you will see them. Believe me, this is not super battle-tested code. So thank you, 6th Plebeian. And then Thorslow. What am I working on? Well, this is not my main project. Today I'm just trying to rebuild Pong. And the reason is, I think there is value in building old games to kind of understand how they work. Let's see. Free library. Time written, last time written. Last time written. Quad part. Yeah, I think that's what I want there, actually. All right, let's go ahead and see that. Yeah, I mean, this is not super battle-tested code. I've actually done a lot more development on my on the game I'm working on. Yeah, that looks kind of bad. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and no. Let's stop. Let's try it again. Okay, good. But I do see some value in making these old games again, and I've told people that I feel that way. And all right, let's get rid of that. And so I thought I'd go ahead and do it as a stream, as kind of a thing that you could do, where you get to see a game kind of from beginning to end. All right, and rather than sort of what we normally do, which is see stuff from time to time. Yeah, my plan is, 6th Plebeian, to make this a regular stream and do kind of a game a week. Ah, there we go. So now, wow, I'm glad I found that bug today. So now you can see, as I make changes here in the editor and build it, I can change stuff right on the fly in my running game. So that is cool technology. For that, I recommend you go check out the first few streams of Handmade Hero, and check that out. That's by Casey Muratori. He's a developer in Seattle. I think he does it every night. He is basically in like the 130th hour of developing a game completely from scratch, which is awesome. Yeah, anyway, he talks a lot about some of the tech I'm just using and not worrying about. And in the future, I hope to kind of sit down and make these games from scratch in no time at all. Okay, now that we've got that working, we should be able to go quite a lot faster. Let's do our update here. Okay, we'll do that later. Actually, we don't need any of this right here. Let's do some update code. I am not used to working on a Windows keyboard as much as I used to be. Okay, and let's switch to something else here so you're not seeing me edit into Windows at once. Okay. Let's do, normally I would update position, and I need to figure out how fast my paddle is moving based on sort of my keys. So let's go ahead and just say, well, based on whatever velocity it has, we're going to update it. Let's say we have game state left player position, and I'm actually going to pass that in and change it on the fly. And game state, actually let's not do that because I don't think people like that so much. Let's say game state left player position, like this, and go ahead and pass in the velocity of the thing like that. Of course, that won't build, right? It's going to say we don't have that thing. And this is not GameDev. It's capital. It is hard to code and talk. I will keep doing it because I am a soldier, but wow, that is a hard thing to do. Okay, so now it doesn't know what update position is, but let's go ahead and do that. The update position, you know what? We're also going to need some sense of time. Let's look and see what my little platform layer is going to give me for that. It tells me frame expected time in seconds, I believe. Frame game data, frame expected time. That's good. All right, so if we have a position, real point position, and we have a real point velocity, and we have, we're going to return a point here, real point, and we have a delta time, delta t. We will go ahead and do this. All right, so we have our position and our velocity. Those who have had freshman physics are aware that you basically are adding, x is equal to x plus velocity dot x. Let's just call it v times delta time. Right? You start where you were, and you move by as much as you could move in that amount of time. Oh, geez. You move by as much as you could in that amount of time. That is easy enough to do. I'm going to look at my math code here. Let's see, do I have a scale? Add to point, a scale point. So let's go ahead and show that again. So we want to basically move these things according to some velocity, which we haven't figured out what it's going to be yet. Let's go ahead and put that in comments. Position equals position plus velocity times delta time. Well, we can actually do that kind of in place by scaling velocity in place by delta t. Right? That's this part of the equation. And then we can add to point. So we've got our position, and we can add to it the velocity that we've now scaled by time, and we can return that. That's good. Of course, we're not doing anything with that because we haven't determined what our velocity should be. So let's go ahead and just throw in some silly numbers. How fast we move. Let's say we move only in y by, let's see, let's say we move by, I don't know, 100 pixels a second? That seems fast. Maybe 50 pixels a second. And let's go ahead and figure out what that would be. Actually, I'm just going to initialize this to nothing, and we'll call it left velocity. We maybe don't even need to store this data. We'll see how it goes. Again, this is hard to do while you are typing, but we'll get better at this. So what do I want to do? I want to say if game data input, let's look at what our input was. Let's see, we've got keys. If our left player up is down, then we're going to do something with velocity. And if our game data input keys L player down is down, we're going to do something else with our velocity. We'll do this again for the right player. Right, so if the key's down, we are going to make left velocity dot y plus equals 50, let's say, and if, actually I want that to be minus. Up is towards the upper left, which is our origin. Left velocity dot y plus equals 50. And I'm going to go ahead and take that. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I want to do. I'm actually going to just go ahead and take this thing right out of here altogether, because that's not really necessary. We're going to make all our velocity kind of instantaneous, so we probably don't really need to store that off frame to frame. You could probably do an interesting variant of Pong where you actually store that stuff and, I don't know, have it damp down over time, in which case you'd need to know it. Let's go ahead and do this. Left player velocity. Yeah, I think that will actually work. Let's go ahead and save stuff. Unknown character. What? Oh, I typed in my window. Go to back to the game. Okay. Scale point. I guess I don't have one that scales it in place. That's fine. Okay, good. Let's quit out of this debugger with the bugs. Yes. No, I don't really care about that. And let's start up the game again. Okay. Okay, good. Well, we see a little bit of movement. It's not great. Let's figure out why that is. Player down is down. Player up is down. We're going to add some velocity. We're not going to store that. We're going to store the position. Oh, that's kind of weird. I don't really know what's going on there. Ah, this is what's happening. So I had initialized my memory, which was great, and then I didn't set that I initialized it. And so it reinitialized every frame. And it's not part of game state, it's part of game data, game memory, and that should do it. Okay, so now, good, nice smooth scrolling, paddle. I could probably make it a little faster. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do, so we don't have to do this again. Let's make that 100, maybe twice as fast. Good rule of thumb whenever you're developing a game is if you don't like the speed of something, if it's too slow, double it. And if it's too fast, have it. And start from there. Okay, good. So good. Now we've got a paddle. Good. Good, good, good. Let's go ahead and do the right player too while we're at it, which is really going to be all the same sorts of code. Let's go ahead and copy that and just go ahead and stick it in place. We're going to look at this and we're going to make this the right velocity. And that's not going to need to be defined again. It would not be fair to give the left paddle an advantage. Might be an interesting game design. We're not going to explore it. And we don't have a right player position yet, so we'll get to that in a moment. And good. And I'm going to go ahead and say we're not initialized for a moment. It is initialized so that this stuff will basically reinitialize. And we need to go ahead and put our right player position. Good. And let's go ahead and put him somewhere, probably at the same Y. Again, probably not fair to give either an advantage. And let's put his X at let's see, 132. Now, what did I close that? I guess I closed that. Yeah, I closed that window. Let's go back. There. I just want to see how big the window is. Oh, that's not there. It's in main. Let's go to 132 main. And what did did I say the size of this window was? 1280 and 720. Oh, so this is way too low. That's why. And 360 and 1280. So we're going to pull him in a bit. And sure, that's not going to work. I had my caps lock on. Good. Game data is not a member of game update. Yeah, it is. What have I done here? Did I type something bad in another window? Goodness gracious, it is terrible to type and talk. Wow, I don't know how you do it, John. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how you do it. I'm gonna look and see how we're doing here. Yeah, this is crazy. It's hard to do this. Hard to do this, but again, we will get better. Okay, so we need to go and find what we have changed. I am fairly certain that I accidentally typed some code while I was over in that other thing. It would not, I guess, be in here. And then let's try C declaration. Let's go to game platform. And what have I done here? Anybody see the error? Go ahead and shout at me if you see the error. I do not see the error. Let's go ahead and look at that again. So, declaration, game data is not a member. Game data is not a member of game data. Should have just gone to the line. It would have told me what I was looking at. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now I am resetting this thing all the time, so let's take that out now that I've done it. Good. And we should be in the game. That still works, but I bet I am drawing it twice. Let's see, update position, right velocity. I'm still using the player up and down. I want our player up, and I want our player down. Okay, good. And I'm not drawing the thing, so let's go ahead and do that too. And let's say point right paddle position equals point from real point, game state, right player position. Good. Our paddle position and paddle half size. Okay, so what I've been doing is basically getting up sort of the minimal stuff here to have a game. We have two independently controlled. It's hard to do it with your brain, but you can independently control these paddles. That's kind of cool. We are currently working in C++, but more of a very light sort of C++. I tend to actually prefer to use something very C-like these days. I'm not a huge fan of enormous amounts of polymorphism and things like that. So yeah, we're kind of moving along finally. What do we need next? Well, we need a ball. So let's go ahead and add a ball. We're going to want the ball to be somewhere in space. At the start of the game, we will probably need to figure out that. Okay. Let's go ahead and put it in the middle of the playing field. Ball position, x equals what, 1280. So what's that? 640, and state ball position dot y is, we'll also start it right in the middle like everybody else. And I really think we're going to need to bump up these paddles. We're going to need to do some more with the paddles. Like, we're not going to want them to be able to go beyond the limits of the screen. We could probably go ahead and do that in a moment. We'll get to that in a second. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the game right now, let's go ahead and make it so it goes a little faster. It goes right off the edge of the screen. We'll deal with that. and similarly off the bottom. So we'll deal with that in a second. Let's go ahead and draw our ball in a spot. I'm not going to worry too much about the ball. In fact, let's just say, let's go ahead and draw the ball. Let's see. Ball. Point from real point. Point from real point. Game state. Ball position. I am standing. I actually showed earlier in the stream that normally I would actually be walking. I am a guy who likes to walk while I code, but it makes too much noise for streaming. So who would want that? Let's go ahead and look at our code here. I'm just going to go ahead and draw the ball as a rectangle with a specific size. X, Y, what do I want? I want the point ball size. No, I want 32 ball size equals, let's say it's 10 pixels. I do walk and code. Ball pause Y minus ball size. And width and height, we'll make that ball size times 2 twice. And we'll make the ball also. And we should see a ball in the game. No, we don't see a ball in the game. And that is because the memory is, again, initializing. I'm just going to leave this in here. One of the things that happens frequently here is I need to reinitialize the memory because I'm adding stuff to that data structure. So now maybe we should see the ball. Yeah, good. Looks like we got a ball. Maybe a little bit too big. Actually, I want to leave that comment out. Okay, so we're not going to reinitialize that every time. Let's just make it size 5. Okay, good. Good. Better. I did, in fact, work on what kind of nerd am I? Must be a new type. Now, I'm still a heavyset nerd. I'm just one who has good cardiac health. Never give in to the desk standards. Well, we're going to take over. I converted somebody this week. Can Emacs do visual debug as VS Eclipse? I don't actually do it that way. Usually I just... let's go ahead and quit that. Is it going to still run? No, I killed it. Let's see, this is mirror Y. I usually just run, if I need to debug, I just run Visual Studio and have it load, and all the stuff is there. And I'm using a little, yes, SDL2 and OpenGL for the drawing. Very minimal. These old games certainly didn't have a lot of graphical needs. So yeah, here's the debugger running. It's going to pop up the game. See? I don't do that most of the time, because most of the time I just do my compiling in... no, I don't care about that. Mostly I just do my compiling and reload the game on the fly. That's how I do my main development as well. Okay, what are we going to do next? Let's get this ball moving. So we've already kind of got a ball. Having which direction it's moving and what velocity it's moving in is actually data that we need to know. Real point ball velocity. We probably need to at some point initialize that. Let's go ahead and do that here. Let's go ahead and just start with some value. Let's just pick a couple numbers randomly. And then it's actually interesting to point out that we can use the same update position code we were using before. And we'll do that in a moment. Game state ball position equals update position. Game state ball position. Game state ball velocity. And game data That's our delta time. So the ball should now move. Good. That's all good. Let's see. So why not just develop in Visual Studio? I don't actually find personally that Visual Studio speeds my work. I find the thing crashes. I find that it's always trying to autocomplete me and garbage like that. I'm not a huge fan. A lot of people like that sort of productivity improvement. I use a little bit of that in Emacs, but it is fast, and it has always historically been quite slow in Visual Studio, so I'm just not a fan. The other thing too is that if I get used to working in Emacs, it's easier for me to go to my my Mac. The Mac, of course, is all Xcode, and that is pretty different. All the keys are different. To do different things, it's better just to use something that's going to port across all. I think that's kind of my biggest thing. And this semester in particular, I was teaching, and so I was traveling a lot, and I just wasn't a huge fan. All right. What do we need next? Well, we need the ball to bounce and stuff. So let's do something like we updated the ball position. You know, we may need to do something a little bit more complicated here. So let's look at that. Let's say let's do update ball. Let's just pass the game state in there because we know what we want. The ball's a little more complicated. Of course, we want it to bounce places. We'll go ahead and update the ball. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I just I had to go back and forth a lot because I'd be a week there and a week here, and that was really frustrating if you tried to go and remember how to use Xcode. I won't be traveling as much in the future, so it probably won't be a big deal in the future. But let's do this. Let's use an intermediate bit of data. And we'll set it last. Okay, good. Yeah, so it's just super frustrating. Drove me crazy. Okay. Let's figure out where if this goes out of bounds. If this thing goes, let's see, if its x is less than 5, that would be a point. So let's say, do you have any horror tales from the GameDev world? I do have lots of horror tales from the GameDev world. Can you be more specific? All right, let's say I'm going to store off my old position. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on next, because this part is going to be a little bit complicated. So I'm going to have an old position and a new position. I'm going to update the ball. There is no chance of seeing anything Skyrim related, I'm afraid, on the stream. Sorry, I don't work there anymore. I don't speak for them. And what is said, what Todd had to say about Skyrim was we rewrote the engine entirely for Skyrim. That should cover, in general, I just speak to things that I know are out there in the press. Hey, buddy. I'm streaming, so can't chat right now. I'll be up in a little while. My son just got home. All right, so if new pause is less than game state, we're going to look and see if it's left, if it has crossed the paddle. So basically, if it was on one side of the paddle, now it's on the other, then we need to do a thing. And what's that thing going to be? We're going to reflect if inside paddle, otherwise go through. And then can't both be true that it used to be. So if it's greater than the right player position dot x, but the old position was less than the right player position dot x, then we need to reflect, etc. So let's go ahead and do that. It's actually, there's probably some value just in reflecting this right away, just to see it happen. Did we use it? Oh, already answered. All right, so if we're inside the paddle, we want, all right, so let's just write the bouncing code first. Ball velocity dot x minus, equals minus ball velocity dot x, and the same thing would happen here. Now this is just going to reflect once I get to the plane of the thing. Let's see, what is this? What is this? Game data, game state, and frame expected time. Oh, that didn't come in. I'm just going to call that dt. Let's call it delta time. Delta time. And then that's going to give me an error. Game data, frame expected time. Okay. All right. Good. Where's the ball? I probably need to add. I might need to add a key to reset this stuff, but we can just do it this way. Yes. Good. All right. So it will have done that, and I'm going to also want to probably add something to speed this thing up. Of course, it's going to go off the bottom. Oh, terrible. Okay, let's deal with that too. Okay, that's kind of a separate thing entirely. Let's see if new pause.y is, let's first do off the bottom, 720, which I'm going to make it 715 for now. State ball velocity.y equals minus game state ball velocity.y. Else if new pause.y is less than 5. All right, we can pretty this up later. Okay, and there is a mistake here somewhere. There it is. Okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and add a reset in a minute because I'm tired of that. Okay, let's do that. Where's the game? I quit out of the game. I do that all the time. Good. That's bad. What happened? What did I do wrong here, folks? What did I do wrong? Let's see. Update the ball. Ball position is given. Let's see. I honestly don't know what I did wrong. Oh, we're in an infinite loop somewhere. How did I do that? I don't see that at all. What language is this? I am coding in C++ and mostly badly, apparently. Let's see. Yeah, my escape key is not even working here, so let's quit out of that. See what I'm doing wrong. It's really mostly C-like. I'm not using any classes or anything like that, so let's go ahead and pause, see what I'm doing here. Okay, that looks fine. Let's, where am I? I don't want to be up that far. Let's go to the source. Okay, let's go through there. Where's my continue? And then we'll go in. Oh, okay, I'm not loading the DLL. Okay, so something is wrong there. It should be loading the DLL. There's the game running. That's a lot of PDBs. Here we are in the debugger. Okay then. Alright, let's go again. In fact, let's go into here. And we'll step into there. Okay, let's look and see what my update render function is. It's weird, I never have these kind of problems. Alright, so this is 13FC71580. Yeah, it's definitely getting that. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this again. I'm glad it's relaxing. It's relaxing to see somebody have just as many bugs as normally you would have. Alright, let's keep going. Continue. Continue. Let's step into that. Alright, so... Wow, this is wrong. This is just so wrong. GameDLL. The belt name, the running name is such and such. Wow, guys, I'm sorry I never have these problems. It's because, of course, I am streaming. Let's quit out of that. Nothing. And no key. Let's quit out of that. I've got a DLL. It's last built at 459. Okay. I got to figure out what I have done wrong here. Isn't that always the way? Alright, let's see what's going on here. Alright, so the first time we step in. Okay, so we step in. Let's get the file information about this thing. Like the last time it was written was something. And we're gonna okay, we got that. Last time written is whatever. Last part of time written. I don't really care about that. Alright, the time written, but okay. I think I've somehow screwed up here. You know what? In the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip over all this stuff that is cool and completely unnecessary. Let's see, 132. And let's just always load it. This will slow things down a little bit, but we don't really care. Oh my God, Brett, what is wrong with you? Ah. Yes, yes, save stuff. Quit, try it again. Nothing. Alright, I give up. I hate my life. What is wrong? This was literally just working. This is how game development works, folks. Don't punch the computer screen. I am about to. I will tell you. What have I done wrong? I've got this thing called Game Update Render. And it's definitely never being found. Alright, I'm going to step through the first time I run this code. Well, this is good, because these are bugs I should have already fixed. Let's go ahead and start. No, of course that's not what I want. Is there a way to start by breaking into main? Start debugging. Let's pause. Okay, that's fine. Let's start here. Okay, let's stop and try again. Okay, good. All right, let's figure out what's going on here. All right, so we're saying, when was this thing written? I'm a little worried about this, but all right, so we go and get the thing. It's GameDLL. We know that was just made. Right, we just made it a few minutes ago, so that's good. Thanks, Maurice. All right, so we go and we say, when was that thing last written? And we get a large integer from that, which tells us the stuff that we care about. And then we compare it to 64-bit values. Okay, and there right there is your problem. GameDev is not equal to null. Alright, let's do that again. Step into that again. Let's step into that again. Let's just keep stepping into it. Okay, last time written. You know what? I think I had this probably right before, and that's probably my problem. All right, let's go and first of all, let's stop. I think that is my problem. No, but then I had this other problem. That's the worst. All right. Okay. I don't really like doing that. I'm not understanding the bug, so I'm just like flailing. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pause the screen and figure this out while I'm not on screen because it drives me crazy to not know what the hell I'm doing while people are watching. So I will be back in a minute. Sorry about that. I guess there's a way to pause. Is there a way to pause it? No, I'm just going to stop it. I will restart.